mysteries of creation are there. In the sky. Up in the sky. The moon and the planets are there. And new hopes for knowledge and peace are there.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to your Inner Journey weather forecast for the week of June 13th through June 19th. And how was the solar eclipse last week for everybody? I want to hear about it in the comments of this video. So in your Inner Journey weather forecast, we utilize archetypal astrology. I'm James Moran. I'm an archetypal astrologer to understand the energies in the collective and how they might show up in our psychedelic journeys this week or in any other inward exploration and spiritual practice. So this week, the Saturn-Uranus square in the sky is going exact. And that is what we're going to talk about this week. We're going to look at it here in Archetypal Explorer. So this part of the graph right here where it says Saturn square Uranus, we can see that it goes exact on Tuesday, the 15th. And the top of the graph here, the 0 degrees, is the exact alignment. So this is a transit that is with us for quite some time. It was with us in 2020, and it will be with us beyond 2021 into 2022, though we're at the midpoint right here, and we're really at the exact tightness of this combination. There's an outer planet combination, so this is a larger background energy to what's going on, but it's a significant enough background energy that I wanted to focus on it this week, the week that it is going exact. So the energy of Saturn has to do with structure, certainty. Uranus has to do with freedom from structures and uncertainty. And the reflections, the alignments of the planets are just reflecting where we are here on this earth in terms of the corrective measures of life. Life has, when things become too rigid, life has a corrective measure that shakes things up and makes them more spontaneous. When things become too spontaneous and reckless, life has a corrective measure that comes in and makes things more certain, more grounded. So the corrective measure that brings in certainty and grounding and a kind of a reality check is associated with Saturn. The type of check and balance that comes in when there's too much certainty, too much rigidity, is the freedom and the spontaneity associated with Uranus. So Saturn constriction from freedom and structure and discipline and kind of the grounding restrictions of reality. And then Uranus, the freedom and the recklessness and the uncertainty and the excitement aspects of reality. So we can see this in teenagers, because teenagers are oftentimes in some ways Uranian, because there can be a rebellious time in life in teenage energy. And then there's this thing about getting grounded. If somebody does something that's too reckless, a teenager does something that's too reckless, they might get grounded, which means that they have to stay inside the home. They have to be limited and be constrained. And that's Saturn. That's associated with Saturn. We could see that in 2020 in the pandemic, the Saturn Uranus, in the way of the whole world got grounded. The whole world, the reckless kind of careless ways of the world got grounded, and everybody had to stay indoors on a collective level. And then individually, there was a sense of Saturn Uranus that we have to be grounded in that Saturnian way, stay indoors, but then also be grounded, get more grounded. A lot of people took that time to actually slow down, become grounded, and find some freedom in that. So that's a healthy integration of Saturn Uranus, sense of, okay, I'm going to simplify my life. I'm going to constrain my life. That's Saturnian, and become grounded, become mature, positive Saturn energy. And through that, I'm going to access some freedom and some spontaneity and some fun, Uranian energy. So that's the energy here that's with us, that's wanting to get integrated. And a lot of the integration comes from us just surrendering to the energy. And psychedelic journeys, it's very important, because psychedelic journeys it just encapsulates the energies of our life as they always are, but brings them to a kind of like a tighter lens. So they become more immediate. They become more, the larger backdrop of our life suddenly becomes of much more immediate concern. And so in the psychedelic journeys, there's the in the larger backdrop of life, the Saturn Uranus is a shaking up of our structures, a shaking up of where we've become rigid. We want to become more flexible. We've been too reckless. We want to be more mature. And that's going on in the background of our life. In the psychedelic journeys, we might feel it kind of come to a head and really feel as if the actual inner structures of our psyches are getting recomputed, reconfigured. That's the Saturn Uranus, Saturn structure. Uranus is the freedom and the shakeup, and the two together make a reconfiguring of structures. So reconfiguring of internal structures. And sometimes that can feel very kind of, it can feel very abrupt, and it can feel kind of a little bit scary, a little bit like getting shaken, like our structures are getting shaken within. We want to just go with it. We want to know that, have faith that there's a larger corrective order here in the universe. And so want to have faith and go with that, and allow our inner structures to get shaken up, because a larger configuration, a newer configuration, one that's more aligned with where we're at now, where we're going, will show up. And then the same for our everyday life, in our kind of just consensus reality and sober consciousness. We want to know that this is happening on an individual level, the Saturn Uranus, that there's a shakeup of our own energies, and it's happening on a collective energy, on a collective level. A shakeup, there's a shakeup energy, and we have to have faith. We might feel shook at times, but we want to have faith that that shakeup energy is a corrective energy. It's going towards something. It's going towards a greater freedom. If we can step into our maturity, step into our groundedness, we can step into more fun, more spontaneity. Some people on YouTube and TikTok, and I've seen video, for instance, of families in 2020 and 2021 who, because of the lockdown, they had to stay home. And then they started recording videos of having fun at home, little skits, little funny things. So the restriction, the Saturnine restriction, actually brought out a Uranian fun and spontaneity. And that's what we want. That's what we want. We want to actually feel that by allowing this shakeup of structures, this welcoming in new constrictions and unexpected constraints will actually bring out of us new freedoms, new fun, new kind of uncertainty, thrill, excitement. So Saturn square Uranus, wanted to take this week to talk about that, since it's going exact, but think about it all this year, and think about it all next year, and think about it retrospectively in terms of last year. Now that we're in a Mercury retrograde, it's good to look retrospectively in terms of last year, and to see what this energy is, and to know that it's meant to be here. It's here for us. It's corrective. You know, when we look back, we can see the royal family in Britain getting shaken up. The structure, the Saturnian structure of that royal culture was too restrictive. And then that rebellious energy of the youngest prince and Meghan Markle kind of shaking it up, creating the shakeup. That's a corrective energy. It was becoming too rigid. And so there's a corrective energy there. So, and think back in terms of your own life, you know, look back in your own life and see how that energy showed up in the past. And that'll give you a sense of where it wants to go in the future, give you a sense of its personality. Saturn square Uranus alignment, what personality it has, so we can welcome it. And we can work with it, and we can see that it's here for us, even if it might shake us up. Ultimately, it's here for us, and it's got some gifts in store for us. So I want to hear how the solar eclipse was for you last week. Put it in the comments, and any questions you have about Saturn square Uranus or comments, let them rip in the comments. And thank you so much for being with me here this week on Your Inner Journey Weather Forecast. And I look forward to seeing you next week. Thank you.